Welcome back, and we continue our rolling coverage this morning of the run-up to the 54th elective conference of the ANC, and of course, Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma and Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa are the front runners in the race to replace President Jacob Zuma, who has now led the party for 10 years. Tonight, SABC News will be hosting Deputy President Cyril Ramaphosa during an exclusive interview at 7 p.m. and that'll be live in studio. That's during our primetime news segment. So do watch that on SABC 3 and Channel 404. You'll be able to watch that. Now, yesterday, the North Gauteng High Court ordered President Jacob Zuma to appoint a commission of inquiry into state capture. It should be headed by a judge selected by the Chief Justice within 30 days. The court also dismissed, with costs, President Zuma's application. The president wanted the court to review former Public Protector Thuli Madonsela's state of capture report's remedial action. The court also found that Zuma is implicated in state capture due to his close relations with the Gupta family and cannot oversee a state capture inquiry. To discuss these issues and more, we're joined in studio by Susan Booysen, who is a professor at the Wits School of Governance. Now, good to have you. Welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you.
So what did you make of the ruling yesterday?
That was fascinating, and you know, it's culminating after a year of toing and froing about that. It's just over a year since Thuli Madonsela released that last report of hers, and at the time people thought that is definitive now, it's clear-cut, there's no way President Zuma could get around it. And we have experienced a drawn-out year of contestation of that. This is now a definitive point. President Zuma has indicated he will be appealing that once again. Yeah. And the quagmire that we have here on state power, a president is implicated, and we know, unfortunately, that President Zuma has been constructing his edifice of political power by having very loyal people in very powerful positions and making sure that he will have the say over how far things will go. And now the judicial system and the higher courts, through these rulings, are contesting that, are penetrating that edifice that the president has constructed around him. And so we are again getting so much resistance from the president against it. The president is not about to say legal processes take your course. The president is not in that space yet. And this is fascinating. The president, with this really under siege, has to hand over now at the conference to a new leader, which could be either, depending whether it's Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma or Cyril Ramaphosa, could be conducive to a further continuation of these extended processes, or would be under a lot of pressure to end those.
Yeah. Let's turn our attention now to the conference that's coming up, and let's talk about a whole bunch of different scenarios, because we had Aubrey Matshihi in studio a bit earlier giving us his views and where he sees this all going. And you know, one of the big worries obviously is, you know, we can talk about different scenarios. His scenario that he was talking about is if things go wrong and if it actually collapses and the conference doesn't go ahead. Obviously, we know within 48 hours it will go, but if voting goes wrong, if the delegates, things go wrong there, you know, these are possibilities. But how probable do you think that is, that we may not actually see a new president of the ANC being voted in this weekend?
You know, that is a possibility. If I had to put percentages to that, I would say it is probably not more than, in my opinion, considering factors, about a 40% possibility. Okay. So I still come out on the side that I see the conference going ahead. The ANC is very divided, massively divided, internally acrimonious, irreconcilable factions, really. But they know how much is at stake to keep this conference together. And I think we've had that peace supper, the last supper that Jacob Zuma organized for the presidential contenders just over a week ago. That was a unity effort. So we can see two types of unity here. The one is the one that I don't think it's too late for. It cannot exist, the unity between the two factions. The other one is a procedural, occasional, event-driven unity, knowing how much the eyes of the world is on the ANC this weekend. And we know that in the middle of the year, when they had ANC had its policy conference, there was such strict discipline on the floor there, and the provinces were put in command. They literally, provincial ANC police, ANC organizational people, who had to check on their delegations seated in big blocks in the conference venue, that they behave, they do things according to the rule, do not do divisive songs, do not wear inappropriate T-shirts, that kind of thing. I think at that level, the ANC could very well maintain that unity front at a conference. Of course, and I absolutely agree with that, it would be a pivotal moment when they, at least two pivotal moments, where if there is any contestation about accreditation of delegates. We know I have heard KwaZulu-Natal is agitating for more delegates because there are so many big branches there who do not have additional representation. And because the balance in the succession race is so fine between Nkosazana and Cyril, that a few votes could matter, and definitely a few hundred votes would matter massively. It could be contested. There could be big contests there. But I think their apparatuses are in place for the ANC to resolve those, probably go by existing rules. So I think that one could be dealt with. The big moment will be when there is a presidential race winner, and because then other things fall into place, it would be clear, will have to be clear whether a loser would still go in, be prepared to go in. I do not see it at the stage, but maybe there can be a compromise. I think it would be a very acrimonious, internally volatile situation, but it could be persuaded that a loser from the presidential race could slip in as a deputy president. If not, it could be that the leading faction says, for the sake of unity, at least for the sake of the duration of the conference, say we go along with that. I think the tough times are going to come after the results are conference, after these people have started going home.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to pause for a sec. We're going to quickly take a break. We'll come back and we'll continue this discussion. Susan Booysen here with us on Morning Live. Stay tuned.